our speaker. First of all, for those of you that may not know, the Grand River Community Health Center provides innovative primary health care. Outside of the hospital, it's done in the community health care. And it's part of an integrated system of quality care that helps their clients, and we would know them as patients, but they look at them as clients, enhance their own health and well-being during different types of community types of healthcare services. And so it's my pleasure this morning to introduce you to a registered dietitian, Alle Choi, and she's with the Grand River Community Health Center. She's been practicing as a dietitian for 7 years, and she strives to inspire others to cook nutritious meals and enjoy eating at home. And of course, we all have to eat, so I think that we should all enjoy this presentation. So Alle, it's over to you.
Thank you for that introduction, Lucy. Very nice to see everyone here. Given our current circumstances with COVID-19, I'm really glad that we are still able to hold something like this for the community. I did prepare some slides for the presentation today, so let me go ahead and share that with you. Can everyone see the slides right now? Okay, great. So today we're talking about cooking healthy at home. It's really important right now, especially we are trying to stay at home more often. So cooking for ourselves is something that we want to continue to be doing. I'll talk a little bit more about nutrition specifically for older adults. And I also have some tips on how to keep cooking for 1 or 2 interesting and easy. Are we seeing the next slide, or is it still the title slide?
Still the title slide.
Okay. There we go. So why is eating healthy important for us? It's important for us throughout all of our lives, but especially for our seniors. It's really important to stay healthy. It helps us to stay strong, and it keeps us more independent, and it helps us increase our quality of life. Quite often, as we get older, naturally we start to lose some muscle and some bone mass loss as well. So if we don't do something about it, it's just going to become less and less and weaker and weaker. So that might impact our ability to move around as much as we wanted to, our ability to cook at home. And if you're not able to cook your favorite meals, then that also affects your quality of life as well. So it's really important to help us prevent that muscle and bone loss. That way, it also helps us maintain a healthy weight. Quite often, our seniors start losing weight very slowly and gradually. Sometimes we may not even notice that we're eating smaller and smaller portions. Our appetite might not be as great as it used to be. Having a good nutrition also helps prevent or lower the risk, or if you have chronic diseases, it slows the progression. Things like heart disease and type 2 diabetes. Having good nutrition can help you with managing those. As we get older, there's naturally changes to our body. So as we get older, we need less food, but there are certain nutrients that we need more of. Because as we get older, we might have some problems with digestion. As we get older, we don't absorb certain nutrients as well. So that means even though we need less food, we need more certain nutrients. So it's really important that we're making each bite count, making whatever you're eating nutritious, so that we don't fill ourselves up with things that don't give us very much. As we get older as well, our sense of smell and taste also decreases. So things may not be as interesting for us. If you think about when you're a little bit sick, maybe you have a bit of a cold, you have a bit of a runny nose, you don't taste or you don't smell as well, right? And when you don't smell and when you don't taste very good enough, often your appetite doesn't isn't as great. So naturally, you don't eat as much. Problems with digestion we talked about, but also maybe you're also experiencing some chewing or swallowing problems. Maybe you have dentures. Oftentimes, dentures are just not as great as your natural teeth. Maybe your favorite food was to have a piece of steak, and maybe you're not no longer able to have something like that. As you lose a little bit of weight, your dentures may not fit as well. So even though to begin with they're not great, having them a little loose in you also can impact the way you're chewing and swallowing. Also, as we get older, naturally our energy levels decrease, or maybe they're a little bit shorter than if we were younger. So it can affect our ability to shop at the grocery store. Maybe we can't go as often as we would like to. And also, if we don't have enough energy, then it can impact the way we're cooking. And so I will talk a little bit about how we can keep shopping and keep cooking even though there's these natural changes to our body. Healthy tips. So, like I said, making every bite count is really important. So, eating a variety of healthy foods, that includes different types of fruits, different types of vegetables, whole grains, and protein foods are very important. Healthy eating, it doesn't have to be difficult, it doesn't have to be time consuming, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Especially if you plan your grocery list, you plan what you're going to buy, if you plan where you're going to cook, that way you don't need to buy anything that you might not need and it ends up just going bad in your fridge. So, especially when you're buying things like frozen or canned options, they're just as nutritious, especially things like vegetables or beans and lentils. If you just buy the canned ones, they stay good for a much longer time. They're much easier to prepare and they're just as nutritious. So when we are not able to taste as well as we used to, you may need to try different herbs and spices to boost the flavor instead of adding too much salt. It's also important to make sure we're not adding too much salt. Quite often, if you have a heart disease or heart failure, quite often if we eat too much salt, we tend to hold on to too much fluids. So that's something that we want to be careful of. But adding more flavor by using more herbs and spices, that would be a good way to help you flavor your food. If you have chewing problems, maybe you want to try choosing softer textures. So maybe instead of eating things like salads or raw vegetables, maybe you want to make sure you stick to the cooked vegetables. You could even cook them a little bit longer or steam them a little bit longer to make them softer. Maybe you want to puree or mash some of your vegetables, things like cauliflower puree. There's a lot of these vegetable purees that are becoming more popular, whether or not you have chewing problems. Casserole or saucy type dishes, things like pasta sauce and chili, those might be the type of dishes you want to cook more often. Sometimes to help us open up our appetite, maybe we want to go for a walk or do a bit of exercise. Even at home, you could be doing sitting exercises. You know, you could just be holding two water bottles and give us a little bit of weight to do a little bit more at home. And that often can help us open up our appetite before we start eating our meals. More tips. Quite often, if you don't have a big appetite, maybe you're not used to eating as big of a portion as you used to eat. So, and that's okay. If you're only able to eat a smaller portion, maybe you want to try and eat a little bit more often. So if you're only able to eat half the size you used to eat, Maybe you want to try and eat the other half in about 2 hours. You could also include snacks in between your meals to get in more of your calories and get in the nutrients that you need. Things like cheese and crackers or peanut butter on your toast, veggie dip. You can dip them in like a hummus you can buy, or a guacamole. You can actually make that at home. The picture you see there is actually a personal picture of mine, and it's really just all the ingredients you need to make a guacamole. You need some ripe avocados, you need some tomatoes, you would dice them up. The onion, that it's showing half an onion there. You probably don't need that much, maybe about a half of that you're seeing in the picture. Dice them up. There's a jalapeno in there if you like it spicy, and some cilantro, some garlic, and some lime juice. And really, that's all there is to a guacamole recipe. So that's a really nice dip you can make ahead of time that stays good for a few days or even a week. And if you have things like carrot sticks or celery sticks, or even some crackers, you can use that as a snack. Smoothies and milkshakes, those are also nice and easy to make as well. Depending on what you're using in them, it can be really filled with a lot of nutrients, and it can be quite calorie dense. Things like meal replacement drinks that also can come in handy. Some brand names are like Ensure or Boost, but you don't have to buy those brand names. Sometimes they're quite pricey. You can make your own milkshakes, or you could try different brands that are out there. If you like to shop at Costco, that is probably usually the cheapest meal replacement drink options you have out there. Otherwise, things like fruit and yogurt, or if you make a batch of tuna or egg salad, that also stays good for a few days in your fridge. You can, boil up to half a dozen eggs and make a big egg salad out of them. You can put some on your toast, put some on some crackers, and that would make a really nice snack. Different people feel they have different energy levels throughout the day. So if for you in the morning is when you have the most energy, you want to maybe try and eat a little bit more in the morning. There's typical breakfast foods, but really you can eat anything you want for breakfast. It could be your heaviest or the largest meal if you find that that's when you have the most energy. If morning is also when you have the most energy, you can do more of your cooking prep. Maybe you want to start prepping for what you plan to have at dinner time in the morning, so that maybe you have more time to cut up more vegetables to keep in your fridge. Or you can make up a big bowl of salad so that you can have enough for the rest of the week. You can even cook some rice or cook some whole grain pastas ahead of time and keep it in the fridge so that you can just reheat them at night when you don't have as much energy. This is probably my most favorite tip, because cook once, eat twice or more. Because, if you make large batches, you can always freeze extra portions in the freezer. Make sure you label them and date them so you know how long it's been since you made them. But it's a really good idea to have some of these around so that when you don't have enough energy, when you don't feel like cooking, you have something nutritious prepared that you can just pull out. I personally really like this idea because that way you don't have to do as many dishes when you only cook once. So things like casseroles or shepherd's pie or pasta sauce, chili, even things like taco or fajita filling, as long as you have wraps at home, you can freeze these extra portions and then pull them out and reheat them when you need to. So some tips to help you grocery shop, especially right now. You really don't want to be going to the grocery store as often as maybe we used to. I would try and plan to have enough groceries to last you for a week or 2 weeks even. So it's really important that you don't forget anything when you do that grocery run. make a list of things you want to buy. Make sure that you make a running list, because sometimes it's really hard to just sit and try and remember what you want to buy even. So I would recommend maybe sticking a note on your fridge so that you can keep a running list of what you need throughout the week. Before you go to the grocery store, you can shop for sales and look for deals for the week. You can access a lot of flyers online now, and if you use a smartphone, you can also download an app called Flip, F-L-I-P-P, and that has all the updated weekly flyers. Any flyers you can find, it has in the app, so it's all right there in one spot. Quite often when you're shopping for sales, the larger packages or the bulk packages, typically those are cheaper. So if you have extra portions, like I said, you can freeze them so that you can take them out later. You could also split them with your friends or family so that you get a good deal out of it. Right now, especially with COVID-19, a lot of grocery stores now offer delivery service for a fee. A lot of them also do curbside pickups so that, if you're not able to get to the grocery store, or if it's a little harder for you to go move around, there are options for you to still get your groceries. Especially with COVID-19, there's a new thing called seniors hours now. It's usually for the first hour or two of opening at the grocery store. They let seniors in to get all their groceries in so that it's not as busy when you go during the day or in the afternoon. So bone health is also very important for seniors. And calcium and vitamin D are the most important nutrients to help maintain our bones. So things like milk and milk alternatives like yogurt, cheese, even plant-based beverages like soy, almond, rice milk, these are all really good sources of calcium and vitamin D. So if you're over 70, you want to get about 1,200 milligrams of calcium and 800 units of vitamin D every day. If that's something that you're not able to meet, talk to your healthcare provider. Maybe you do need to take a supplement to make sure you're getting enough of these vitamins. Everyone over 50 really should be taking a vitamin D supplement of 400 units, unless your healthcare provider tells you otherwise. So if you don't eat enough milk products or other calcium-rich products, you want to talk to your healthcare provider so that they can make sure that you're getting enough of these nutrients. Quite often, if we don't get enough calcium or vitamin D from food, we tend to take them out from bones, because we want to make sure that we're maintaining a certain amount in our blood system going around. That keeps us going. So if we don't eat enough, it's going to be taken out of our bones to make sure that it gets to the blood level. That's why your bones get weaker and weaker if you don't get enough calcium from your diet. There are other ways to get calcium. It doesn't have to come from milk products. Other calcium-rich foods are white beans, navy beans, baked beans, almonds, sesame seeds, tofu, broccoli, figs. These are examples of other foods that you could also eat that can also give you calcium. I would be careful with just sticking to some of these calcium-rich foods, because even though there is calcium in them, we may not absorb these items as well as we absorb the calcium from milk. So if you're not sure, talk to your healthcare provider to make sure that you're getting enough of these nutrients. Protein is also very important to maintain our muscles. So meat, chicken, turkey, fish, eggs, even legumes. So beans and chickpeas, lentils, tofu, nuts and seeds. These are all really good sources of protein. It also gives you some iron and your B vitamins. Studies show that seniors who eat more protein lose less muscle than those who don't eat as much. So it's really important that we're getting enough protein throughout the day so that we don't keep losing our muscles. The more muscles we lose, the more weaker we get, and your ability to move around will definitely be tougher and tougher. So each day, try to get in 2 or 3 servings of protein. So that means almost every meal you should try and eat something that gives you protein. Some tips to help you get in more protein. When you're cooking meat, don't just cook that one portion for that one day. Try and cook more portions so that you have extra in the fridge for later for the next day, or you can freeze cooked chicken or cooked meat. And so you can reheat them and pull them out of the freezer when you don't have anything else in the fridge. You can use legumes. So like I said, some beans or chickpeas, you can add them to your salads, add them to your soups, especially lentils. They go really well in pasta and pasta sauce. I would suggest getting them from a can because they're so easy and quick to use. All you have to do is drain all the liquid. You make sure you rinse them really well because some people stay away from these things because it gives them extra gas, and that can be quite uncomfortable. But a good way to prevent that is to make sure you rinse the can really well, rinse the beans really well before you use them. And they're so easy to use because you can just use them straight out of the can. You just rinse them, give it a couple of rinse, and you can throw it straight into your salads. You could also use nuts and seeds, so things like almonds or cashews, walnuts. These go really well in yogurt, or you can throw them in your salads. Things like pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds, those go really well as well. If you like to bake muffins at home, you can add some of these chopped nuts or seeds and throw them in your muffins, or things like banana bread. You can throw some of the nuts in there as well. Having canned fish, so things like tuna or salmon around, again, it stays good for a really long time. You can keep a bunch in your pantry. That's something that you want to keep on hand for some days that you don't have any meat around, or you don't have anything frozen. You know, that's something that's quick and easy you can put together. Even an egg salad, you can boil a bunch of eggs ahead of time. You can boil them for the week. You can just eat a hard-boiled egg, have that with a piece of fruit or some vegetables, and that would make it a really nice snack. Hydration is something that's also really important because as we get older, we may not recognize when we're thirsty. And so we need to get some strategies in place so that we make sure that we're drinking enough throughout the day. Know that some of these signs, it's already too late if you experience some of these signs of dehydration. If you have a dry mouth, if you have a headache, if you start to get dizzy, and if you have really dark or strong smelling urine, those are some signs that it's a little late. You need to make sure you drink a lot more to prevent these signs from coming. So good ways to help you get in enough to drink is just to make sure you drink regularly throughout the day. If it helps you to drink cold water, keep a big pitcher or a large water bottle in the fridge and make sure you finish it by the end of the day. You can leave them on the counter, or you can use like a thermos if warm water is something that you prefer. You can make your water more interesting. So things like adding flavor, adding some citrus fruits, adding some cucumbers, or even things like mint or basil leaves, that keeps your water more interesting. If it helps you to just drink when you're eating, that's a good way to get in more water as well. So if it helps you to remember, make sure you drink 2 glasses whenever you're eating. So with each meal and with each snack. You can also stay hydrated from drinking other liquids, so things like milk, or in the wintertime, or maybe right now when it's getting a little bit colder, soups would be a good option. Even eating fruits and vegetables that have a lot high water content, things like watermelon, maybe not quite in season right now, but oranges and melons, tomatoes, even things like cucumbers, celery, lettuce, these all have over 80% water content in them. So provided you're eating some fruits and vegetables and you're drinking a glass or two with your meals, that will be enough to stay hydrated. There's some rumors sometimes that go around that, coffee and tea, they dehydrate you. So try not to drink those. That isn't entirely accurate because it's called a diuretic. So it does make you pee a little bit more often, but the amount you're peeing out versus the amount you're taking in, it's still a positive amount there. So even though it does make you go to the bathroom a bit more often, you're still getting in a little bit from your coffee and tea. If you're someone who's quite sensitive to the caffeine, maybe you want to go for a decaf coffee or herbal tea to make sure you're getting in more hydration. If you're someone who's used to drinking coffee and tea, that can also help to stay hydrated. So cooking for one or two, I have involved one of our certified food educator. Her name is Mary Annette Clark. She has graciously prepared a video for us. She's demonstrating how to make some of these very simple recipes. Her background is a certified professional trainer, and she's been a professional trainer for 10 years. Her mission is to inspire health and fitness and quality of life for all. So I will show you a video that she prepared for us. Can everyone see her video?
No sound, Helene.
No sound. Okay. Let me see. Let's try this.
Nope.
Is there sound?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. I will share the video link for everyone to see the video afterwards. Okay, so she did prepare some recipes for us. There's a handout of recipes that I will also share with the video so that we can take a look at it afterwards. So as she did in the video, she does give us some tips to cook for one or cook for two. Other than some of the tips that she's mentioned, you could also try different recipes to keep your meals more interesting. Maybe right now we want to make sure that we're staying at home, but you could also do video calls and do virtually cook different recipes together. So we just got to make sure we buy all the same ingredients and we can set a time, set a day, and just cook together in our own kitchens. Eating by yourself can be difficult sometimes, but making eating your meals a little bit more pleasant, Maybe you want to designate a nice spot at home to eat your meals. Maybe you want to sit by the window or sit somewhere with a nice view to keep your meals interesting. You might also consider meal support. So things like Meals on Wheels, they deliver right to your door. You may not need to use it every day for every meal, but once or twice a week, it can really help you out for those days where you're feeling a bit more weak, or maybe you don't have enough energy to cook your meals. It can really help you out. Right now, there's a lot of meal kits that can also get delivered right to your door. Things like Chef's Plate or HelloFresh. Those are just examples, but there's a lot of different brands and companies out there that that they send you the ingredients you need to make a specific recipe. They send you just enough so that you don't have to buy a whole cabbage, use a little bit, and not know what to do with the rest of the cabbage. So they can send you just right what you need to make different recipes. So that might be something that you want to consider. Again, you don't have to use it for every meal for every week. Maybe you want to try it out for a week. Maybe you want to do it just for once or twice a week again, and another once or twice a week you have Meals on Wheels, and then you're cooking for yourself for maybe, again, just once or twice a week. So that can really help you out and get some nutritious food. Eating with your friends and family when possible. There's a lot of studies that do show that eating with other people, you get in more nutrients when you're eating with other people. But it might not be possible right now. It's maybe not recommended, but like I said, even if you're not cooking together, maybe you want to just eat your meals together. You could arrange these Zoom calls with more than one people, or if you're using a smart tablet or a smartphone, video calls are very easy to do today. So maybe you want to arrange meal dates so that you're still eating with your friends and have the opportunity to have a conversation, catch up, and eat your nutritious meal that way. So there's also a lot of community support, especially at the Grand River Community Health Center. Right now, we are planning some virtual cooking classes. We're planning for the first few weeks of December. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Check back on our Grand River Facebook page to make sure you get the updates. What we're planning is we would pick several recipes, and we would try and gather all the ingredients for you. We would deliver it to your door and set a date so that on the day of you can do the actual class with us. So it's very exciting to be able to participate in some of these cooking classes. We are also offering a virtual anxiety group with our social worker. And if that's something that you're interested, we are holding new classes in November. So make sure you reach out to us if you're interested in participating with our counselors. Grand River is also taking new clients right now. So if you don't have a family doctor, you can come to us. There's no waiting list, so you should be able to get on it quite quickly. That way, once you're one of our clients, you have access to a one-on-one with me or the other dietitian, Katie. If you have any specific questions related to yourself, feel free to let us know. We can arrange appointments to help you out. Otherwise, there's always telehealth if you have any specific questions for yourself. So this 1-866 number, you can give them a call and you can talk to a registered dietitian for free. And I welcome any questions right now if anyone has any.